They hurried back to their fire site, eager to prepare their catch. Zara took charge of cleaning the fish, while Keto and Yara arranged the wood for the fire. They built a small structure with the sticks, careful to create a space for air to flow. Once the fire was lit, the warmth enveloped them like a comforting blanket. They placed the fish on a makeshift spit, cooking it over the flames. The smell of the roasting fish filled the air, making their mouths water. As they waited, they shared stories about their homes and families, laughter echoing through the woods. Zara felt a bond forming with her friends, deeper than any she had experienced before. They were not just surviving, they were thriving in each other's company. Finally, the fish was ready. Zara took a cautious bite, and her eyes widened with delight. "This is amazing," she exclaimed. Keto and Yara quickly followed suit, savoring the taste of their hard-earned meal. After finishing their feast, they sat by the fire, basking in its warmth. Zara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. They had faced the cold, gathered food, and built a fire together. They were learning to survive in this harsh world, and each challenge only made them stronger. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the snow-covered landscape, Zara realized how far they had come since their arrival at the Deathworlders' camp. They were not just students anymore. They were becoming warriors, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a heart full of hope, Zara looked at her friends. "We can do anything together," she said, and they all nodded in agreement. They knew that as long as they had each other, they could conquer any obstacle that came their way. Abandonment. The spaceship trembled as it entered the atmosphere of the alien planet. Alex, a skilled human explorer, gripped the control panel tightly, his heart racing. Outside the window, vibrant colors filled the sky. Deep purples, bright oranges, and flashes of green. He had read about this planet, known as Zira, but nothing prepared him for its beauty. However, it was not just beautiful, it was dangerous. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the ship jolted violently. Alex's face turned pale as he fought to keep the craft steady. Come on," he shouted, but the controls slipped from his fingers as the ship began to spiral. He struggled against the force of the crash, desperately trying to regain control. With a loud crash, the ship slammed into the ground, sending debris flying. Alex was thrown forward, and everything went black. When he opened his eyes, the world around him was still spinning. He was lying in the wreckage of his ship. The bright colors of Zira surrounded him, but the beauty felt surreal amidst the destruction. He sat up slowly, wincing at the pain in his side. "Is anyone out there?" he called, his voice echoing in the stillness. No answer. He pushed himself to his feet and stumbled out of the ship. The air was thick and fragrant with alien flowers, their colors glowing softly in the dim light. Alex glanced around, trying to understand where he had landed. Tall, strange trees swayed gently, their leaves shimmering like jewels. But he couldn't linger. He had to find help and get off this planet. As he walked, he heard a rustling sound nearby. Alex's heart raced again. Was it a predator? He needed to be cautious. He crept towards the sound, his footsteps silent on the soft ground. Peeking around a massive tree, he spotted something moving in the underbrush. It was an alien girl. She was small and agile, with green skin and large, expressive eyes that sparkled like stars. Her hair was a brilliant blue, cascading down her back. She was weaving in and out of the trees, seemingly unaware of Alex's presence. He could see fear in her eyes as she glanced back, as if something was pursuing her. Without thinking, Alex stepped closer to her, wanting to help. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out. The girl froze, looking directly at him. Her eyes widened in surprise and fear. She turned to run, but Alex moved quickly, reaching her just as she stumbled over a root. "It's all right," he said softly, trying to calm her down. "I'm not here to hurt you." He held up his hands to show he meant no harm. The girl studied him for a moment, then whispered in a language he didn't understand. It was melodic and soft, but the tone carried her fear. Alex felt a sudden rush of empathy. He could sense her terror and confusion, just as he felt his own. Before he could speak again, a low growl echoed through the trees. The girl's eyes darted towards the sound, and fear swept across her face. Alex turned to see a large, menacing creature emerge from the shadows. It had dark, scaly skin and sharp claws that glinted in the fading light. Its eyes were fierce and hungry. "Run!" Alex shouted, instinctively grabbing the girl's hand. They took off together, weaving through the trees as the creature chased them. Alex could feel the ground shake beneath them as it roared in anger. "Where do we go?" the girl asked, her voice trembling. Even though he didn't understand her words, he could sense her fear. "Just keep running. We need to find a safe place," Alex replied, urging her on. They sprinted deeper into the forest, the sound of claws scratching the ground behind them growing louder. Suddenly, they stumbled into a clearing. Alex spotted a large rock formation ahead. "Over there. We can hide." He pulled the girl towards it, and they ducked behind the rocks just as the creature burst into the clearing, searching for them. Panting heavily, Alex and the girl pressed against the cool stone, hoping the creature wouldn't find them. It circled the area, sniffing the air. Alex could hear his heart pounding in his ears. They were trapped, and he felt responsible for this innocent girl. "What do we do?" she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Alex looked at her, trying to find the right words. He wanted to reassure her, but he felt helpless. "Stay quiet," he whispered back. "We just need to wait." Minutes passed like hours as they huddled together, listening to the creature growl and snarl. It seemed to lose interest and moved away, its footsteps fading into the distance. Alex let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. They were safe for now. Once he was sure the coast was clear, he turned to the girl. "We need to keep moving," he said, this time using simple gestures to communicate. He pointed towards a path leading deeper into the woods. The girl nodded, a flicker of determination sparking in her eyes. She took a deep breath and stepped out from behind the rocks. Together, they continued through the alien forest, side by side. As they walked, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. Here he was, a human stranded on an alien world, forming an unexpected bond with an alien girl. They might be from different worlds, but in that moment, they were united in their struggle to survive. He knew he had to protect her, and maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to escape this planet together. "I want to see," she said, her voice filled with longing. Alex could see the wonder in her eyes as she imagined the world he described. "Someday, maybe you will," he replied, feeling hopeful. "I'd love to show you my home, just like you've shown me, Zyra. But first, we have to focus on getting out of here." The fire crackled, sending small sparks into the night sky. Alex leaned closer to Lyra, grateful for her company. "What about you? What's your home like?" he asked, eager to learn more about her. Lyra hesitated for a moment, then began to speak, her voice soft and melodic. "Zyra is alive. The trees whisper and the rivers sing. The creatures are my friends, but there is danger here too. Some think I am different, but I am just like you. I want to be safe." Alex listened intently. He could hear the pain in her voice and the fear that lurked beneath her words. "You are not alone anymore, Lyra," he said firmly. "I promise to keep you safe. We'll find a way to get you out of here." Just then, a faint sound interrupted their conversation. Alex held his breath, straining to hear. It was a distant hum, growing louder. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, looking at Lyra, whose eyes widened in alarm. "Yes," she replied, her gaze shifting toward the tree line. They both stood up, hearts racing. The sound grew louder, and soon they could see the glow of lights flickering in the distance. "It's a ship," Alex exclaimed, his heart soaring with hope. "They must have seen our signal." Lyra's expression shifted from fear to excitement. Quick, we must get their attention. She took a step toward the clearing, ready to wave her arms and shout. Wait, Alex said, grabbing her hand. We need to be cautious. It could be dangerous. He didn't want to ruin their chance at rescue, but he also knew they had to be careful. They both ducked low, hiding behind the wreckage of Alex's ship. The distant lights grew brighter as the craft approached. Alex could see its shape now, a sleek vehicle that glimmered against the night sky. His heart raced with anticipation. What do we do? Lyra whispered, her eyes darting between Alex and the approaching ship. We wait until it's close enough, and then I'll signal them, Alex said, his mind racing with ideas. He remembered the emergency beacon he had on board. If he could just reach it, they would have a much better chance of getting rescued. As the ship descended, its engines roared, creating a wind that whipped through the trees. Alex could see the ship's landing lights illuminating the area. It landed in a small clearing just a few yards away from their hiding spot. Now's our chance, Alex said, sprinting toward the ship. He could feel Lyra close behind him, her determination matching his own. They'd reached the wreckage, and Alex scrambled over the twisted metal to find the emergency beacon. Where is it? He muttered to himself, searching frantically. His fingers brushed over the cold surface of the ship, and he felt a surge of hope as he spotted the blinking light of the beacon in the corner. Got it, he shouted, holding it high in the air. The beacon emitted a bright light, flashing in a rhythmic pattern. Can you see us? We're over here, he called out, his voice echoing in the night. Lyra stepped closer, watching with wide eyes as the beacon sent its signal into the sky. What if they don't see us? She asked, fear creeping into her voice. They will, Alex replied, forcing confidence into his tone. They have to. Moments passed like hours, each second filled with anticipation. Alex's heart raced as he glanced back toward the ship, hoping to see movement. Suddenly, the ship's ramp lowered, and a figure emerged. It was a human in a spacesuit, scanning the area with a flashlight. There, Alex shouted, pointing excitedly. They're here. The figure stepped forward, his flashlight sweeping across the clearing. When the beam landed on Alex and Lyra, he stopped, squinting in surprise. Is that? Yes. Alex waved his arms, heart pounding with relief. We're here. We need help. The figure hurried toward them, his expression shifting from confusion to recognition. Alex, I thought you were lost. It's a long story, but I need to get Lyra out of here, Alex replied, his voice filled with urgency. She's in danger. Danger? The rescuer asked, glancing at Lyra. Are you hurt? No, but we must leave before those creatures come back, Alex insisted. They were hunting us. The rescuer nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. We need to move fast. Follow me. He turned and led them toward the ship. Lyra followed closely, her eyes darting nervously at the surrounding trees. As they boarded the ship, Alex felt a rush of adrenaline. He was finally going home, but as he looked back at the forest, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Wait, the creatures, he said, suddenly realizing that they had left a path open behind them. Don't worry, we'll take off quickly, the rescuer assured him, activating the ship's systems. The engines began to hum, and Alex felt the vibrations beneath his feet. Please hurry, Lyra said, her voice trembling. I don't want to go back there. Alex took her hand, squeezing it tightly. You won't have to. We're getting out of here, I promise. The ship's engines roared to life, and the ground shook as it lifted off the ground. They felt a rush of force as they shot upward, leaving the treetops behind. Alex leaned against the window, watching as the forest shrank below them. Goodbye, Zira, he whispered, a mix of sadness and relief washing over him. He turned to Lyra, whose eyes were filled with wonder as she gazed at the stars now visible outside. We made it, she said, a smile breaking through her fear. We're safe. Together, Alex replied, feeling the warmth of their bond. They had survived against all odds, and now they were free to explore the universe together. As the ship soared into the depths of space, Alex knew this was just the beginning of their adventure. With Lyra by his side, anything was possible. You said. The ship's engines hummed steadily as they climbed higher, leaving the forest behind. Alex gazed out the window, taking in the breathtaking view of Zera disappearing into a swirl of greens and browns. The sky deepened into a velvety darkness, dotted with stars that twinkled like distant diamonds. He turned to Lyra, who was wide-eyed with wonder. "Is it always like this?" she asked, her voice filled with awe. "Pretty much," Alex replied, smiling at her excitement. "This is what space looks like. Just wait until you see the planets." Lyra leaned closer to the window, her fingers brushing against the cool glass. "I can't believe I'm flying. I've always wanted to see the stars up close." Her excitement was infectious, and Alex felt a warmth spread through him. They had both escaped danger, and now they were embarking on a new adventure. As the ship leveled off, the rescuer turned to them. "I'm Captain Ryan," he said, offering a friendly smile. "I'm glad we found you. How did you end up on Zera?" Alex exchanged glances with Lyra, and she nodded encouragingly. "It's a long story," he said, deciding to give a brief overview. "I was on a mission, and my ship crashed. I found Lyra after I landed." Ryan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "And she's an alien," Alex replied simply. "She's from this planet, and she helped me survive." "Impressive," Ryan said, nodding. "Not many would do that for a stranger. You two have quite a bond." "We do," Lyra said, her voice filled with warmth. "Alex is my friend. He saved me." Their words echoed in Alex's mind, and he felt a sense of pride swelling in his chest. They had become allies against the odds, and their connection had grown deeper with every challenge. As they flew through the stars, Alex couldn't help but think about what lay ahead. "Where are we going now?" he asked Ryan, curiosity sparking in his mind. "Back to the base," Ryan replied, adjusting the ship's controls. "We'll get you both checked out and see if we can find a way to get Lyra back to her people." Lyra's expression shifted slightly. "Back to my people," she repeated, uncertainty creeping into her voice. "Yes," Ryan confirmed, sensing her apprehension. "I'm sure they'll want to know you're safe, but don't worry, we'll make sure it's safe for you to return." Alex felt a pang of worry in his chest. He hadn't considered that Lyra might want to return home. He had grown attached to her and didn't want to lose her. "Are you okay with that?" he asked gently. Lyra looked out the window, her expression thoughtful. "I don't know," she admitted. "I've always felt different, and I didn't belong. But I also don't want to be alone again." "You won't be alone," Alex said firmly. "You have me. We'll figure it out together." She turned to him, a smile breaking through her uncertainty. "Together," she echoed, her eyes shining. Just then, an alarm sounded, breaking the moment. Ryan's expression shifted to concern as he tapped at the controls. "What's happening?" Alex asked, feeling the tension in the air. "We're being followed," Ryan said, his voice steady but urgent. "Looks like those creatures you mentioned weren't the only threats on Zera." "Are they attacking?" Lyra's voice trembled with fear. "Not yet, but we need to move quickly," Ryan replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "Hold on." The ship lurched as Ryan pushed the throttle forward, sending them barreling into space. Alex's heart raced as he glanced out the window, seeing a dark shape in the distance. Something was chasing them. "We need to lose them," Ryan shouted, maneuvering the ship with expert precision. The vessel weaved and dipped, trying to shake off the pursuers. "What are those things?" Alex asked, bracing himself against the wall. "They're known as Variks," Ryan explained, keeping his eyes on the controls. "Predatory creatures that thrive on chaos. If they catch up to us, we could be in serious trouble." Lyra's eyes widened in fear, but Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll be okay," he promised. "Just stay close." As the ship continued to evade the Variks, Alex noticed a small control panel flashing red. "What's that?" He pointed, feeling a sense of urgency. "Those are our shields," Ryan replied, glancing at the readings. "If they hit us, it'll weaken our defenses. We need to buy some time." "Can I help?" Alex offered, eager to contribute. "Just keep an eye on the rear cameras and let me know if they get too close," Ryan instructed. Alex nodded, focusing on the monitors. He could see the Variks gaining on them, their dark shapes contrasting against the starlit backdrop. "They're getting closer," he shouted. "Hang on," Ryan replied, performing a sharp turn that sent the ship spiraling. Alex felt his stomach lurch as the ship banked to the right, barely avoiding the Variks' lunge. Suddenly, the ship jolted violently, and Alex felt a rush of panic. "What was that?" he yelled, gripping the control panel. "Impact," Ryan shouted. "We've lost our rear shields." He fought to regain control, but the ship shook again as the Variks struck. "Lyra, hold on," Alex called out, reaching for her hand. They both braced themselves as the ship rocked back and forth, the alarms blaring loudly. "Can't we fight back?" Lyra shouted, her fear palpable. "We're working on it," Ryan replied through gritted teeth. "If I can just get to the weapons system." He fumbled with the controls, trying to stabilize the ship. As the Variks closed in, Alex felt a surge of determination. "There has to be something we can do," he shouted. "Get to the weapons console," Ryan ordered. "If you can fire a few shots, it might buy us enough time to escape." Alex nodded and rushed to the console, his heart pounding. He quickly scanned the controls, trying to remember everything he'd learned about space combat. "I think I see it," he shouted, pressing buttons as he focused on the approaching Variks. "Now," Ryan shouted, and Alex squeezed the trigger. A blast of energy shot out from the ship, striking one of the Variks and sending it spiraling away. "Yes," Alex cheered, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "I got one." "Keep firing," Ryan urged, maneuvering the ship to avoid another attack. Alex took a deep breath and fired again, hitting another Varik. They were making progress, but more were still closing in. "Just a little longer," Ryan urged, his voice tense. Lyra watched, her eyes wide with fear and excitement. "You're doing great, Alex," she cheered, and his confidence surged. With each shot, Alex felt more powerful, more in control. The Variks were starting to retreat, their dark forms fading into the distance. "I think we're scaring them off," he exclaimed. "Good. Keep it up," Ryan replied, glancing back at them with a look of relief. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last Varik turned and fled, disappearing into the depths of space. The ship's alarms quieted, and the tension in the air began to dissipate. "We did it," Alex shouted, turning to Lyra, who looked both shocked and thrilled. "We did," she echoed, her voice filled with joy. They shared a triumphant smile, their bond growing even stronger in that moment. "Great job, team," Ryan said, visibly relieved. "Let's get to the base and regroup. We're not out of danger yet, but we made it through the worst of it." As the ship soared into the darkness of space, Alex felt a newfound sense of hope. They had faced danger together and emerged victorious. With Lyra by his side, he knew they could handle whatever challenges awaited them. "Together," he whispered, glancing at Lyra. She nodded, her eyes shining with determination. Whatever came next, they would face it hand in hand. The base. The ship glided smoothly through the stars, leaving the chaos of the Varik encounter behind. As they flew, Alex took a moment to catch his breath, the adrenaline from their escape still coursing through his veins. Lyra sat beside him, her gaze fixed on the vastness of space outside the window. a mix of wonder and fear reflected in her eyes. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked, breaking the silence. "To the base," Ryan replied, his voice steady as he navigated the ship. "It's a safe zone for travelers and explorers. We'll be able to regroup and plan our next move there." Alex glanced at Ryan, feeling grateful for his calm demeanor. "What happens when we get to the base?" he inquired, eager to know more. "We'll assess the situation, check on our supplies, and contact the Federation for further instructions," Ryan explained, his hands deftly maneuvering the controls. "We need to ensure your safety, Lyra, and see if we can get you back to Zira." Lyra nodded, but Alex could see a flicker of uncertainty in her expression. "Will they really help me?" she asked softly. "They will," Ryan assured her. "The Federation takes all reports of alien life seriously. They'll want to learn about your culture and ensure you are safe." Alex squeezed Lyra's hand, trying to comfort her. "You'll be okay," he promised. "We'll figure it out together." The ship continued its journey through the starry expanse until a large structure loomed into view. The base was a sprawling complex, its metallic surfaces gleaming in the light of distant stars. It was surrounded by an array of smaller ships and platforms, all busy with activity. "There it is," Ryan said, his voice filled with excitement. "Welcome to the Orion base." As they landed, the ship's engines powered down, and a sense of calm washed over Alex. He turned to Lyra, who looked both anxious and curious. "This is it," he said, trying to instill confidence. "We're safe now." "Safe," Lyra echoed, glancing around as the ramp lowered. "What does safe feel like?" "Let's find out," Alex replied, leading the way as they stepped out of the ship. The air was filled with sounds of chatter, machinery, and the distant hum of engines. It was a bustling place, full of life and energy. As they descended the ramp, a group of people approached them, all wearing uniforms emblazoned with the Federation symbol. A tall woman with short brown hair stepped forward, her expression serious yet welcoming. "Welcome to Orion Base," she said, her voice authoritative. "I'm Commander Harris. What's your status?" "Commander, we encountered some hostile creatures on Zira," Ryan explained. "This is Alex and Lyra. They need immediate assistance." Commander Harris turned her attention to Lyra, her expression softening. "Are you all right?" she asked gently. "We'll take care of you." Lyra nodded but remained close to Alex, seeking his reassurance. "I'm okay," she replied, her voice wavering. "Let's get you both inside," Commander Harris said, gesturing for them to follow. "We have medical staff on standby to check on you and ensure you're safe." As they entered the base, Alex marveled at the bustling environment. People were moving about, some working on advanced technology, while others engaged in lively discussions. It felt like a hub of knowledge and strength. "Everything is so different," Lyra whispered, her eyes wide with curiosity. "It's a lot to take in," Alex agreed, "but you'll get used to it. Just remember, you're safe now." They followed Commander Harris through the corridors until they reached a medical bay. "This is where you'll get checked out," she explained, leading them inside. A nurse approached them, smiling warmly. "I'm Nurse Tara. Let's get you both looked at," she said, gesturing for them to sit on the examination tables. Lyra hesitated before sitting down, her fingers fidgeting nervously. Alex took a seat next to her, offering his presence as a source of comfort. "It's going to be fine," he reassured her. "Just some routine checks." Finally, as night fell over the Orion base, Commander Harris gathered everyone in the conference room for a final briefing. "We're ready to proceed with your journey home, Lyra," she announced, her voice resolute. "Tomorrow morning, we'll set off on a shuttle. It will take you safely to Zira." A mixture of excitement and anxiety coursed through Lyra. "What if I'm not ready?" she asked, her voice quivering. "You've already shown remarkable strength," Commander Harris assured her. "Trust in your instincts. You have friends waiting, and they'll be eager to see you." As the meeting concluded, Lyra felt a sense of finality. She turned to Alex, who looked at her with warmth and understanding. "No matter what happens, remember that I care about you," he said, his voice gentle. "I care about you too, Alex," Lyra replied, tears welling in her eyes. "Thank you for everything." "Just promise me one thing," he said, his expression earnest. "Live your life fully when you return. Don't let fear hold you back." "I promise," Lyra vowed, wiping her tears away. "I won't forget you." With their goodbyes lingering in the air, Lyra felt a bittersweet ache in her heart. Tomorrow she would leave this place, but she would carry Alex with her, his courage, his friendship, and the bond they had formed. As she lay in her quarters that night, staring up at the unfamiliar ceiling, Lyra thought of the journey ahead. She felt scared yet hopeful. She had a home to return to, friends waiting to welcome her back, and the strength she had discovered within herself. But deep down, she also knew that no matter where she went, a part of her would always belong to Alex. The connection they shared was unbreakable, and as the stars shone brightly outside her window, Lyra closed her eyes, dreaming of the future and the adventures that awaited her, both on Zyra and Beo's journey home. The sun rose over the Orion base, casting golden light through the large windows of Lyra's quarters. Today was the day she would leave behind the safety of the base and return to Zyra. Excitement bubbled within her, but so did a twinge of sadness. She quickly got dressed and packed her small bag, feeling the weight of her decision settle over her. As she stepped out of her quarters, Lyra felt a rush of emotions. The halls of the base were bustling with activity, and she could hear the sounds of ships preparing for departure. She made her way to the docking bay, where she would board the shuttle. With each step, the reality of her departure set in, and she couldn't help but wonder what awaited her back home. When she arrived at the docking bay, Alex was already there, waiting for her. He stood by the shuttle, a hopeful smile on his face, but she could see the hint of sadness in his eyes. "Hey," he said, trying to sound upbeat, "ready for your big adventure?" "I think so," Lyra replied, her voice wavering. "But I'm really going to miss this place. And you?" "I'll miss you too," he admitted, stepping closer. "But remember what we talked about. You have to embrace this new chapter in your life." "I know," Lyra said, feeling the tears well up again, "but it's hard to leave you behind." "Just because we're far apart doesn't mean we're not connected," Alex said, his tone gentle. "You can reach out anytime. We'll always have our bond." Lyra nodded, fighting back tears. "I'll always carry you in my heart, Alex." As the shuttle's door opened, a familiar face appeared. "Commander Harris." "We're ready for departure, Lyra," she said, her voice encouraging. "It's time to go home." With one last look at Alex, Lyra took a deep breath and stepped onto the shuttle. The interior was bright and modern, with various screens displaying the ship's systems. She settled into her seat, glancing out the window one last time. Alex stood outside, waving, a reassuring smile on his face. As the engines roared to life, Lyra felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The shuttle began to lift off the ground, and soon they were soaring into the vastness of space. Lyra's heart raced as she watched the Orion base shrink into the distance. "Is everyone accounted for?" the pilot asked, checking his instruments. "Yes, we're all set," Commander Harris confirmed. "Let's head to Zyra." The shuttle cruised smoothly through the stars, and Lyra took a moment to collect her thoughts. She was going home, but she had left behind a friend who had changed her life. "Lyra, can you hear me?" Aerith's voice echoed in her communicator, bringing a smile to her face. "Yes, I'm here," she replied, excited to hear from him again. "We're preparing for your arrival. It's been too long since we've seen you," Aerith said, his enthusiasm infectious. "I can't wait to see you all," Lyra exclaimed. "But I'm also a little nervous." "That's understandable," Aerith said, his voice calming. "Just remember that you're loved and welcomed back. Everyone is eager to see you." As they continued their journey, Lyra looked out the window at the swirling stars, her mind racing with possibilities. What would she say to her friends? Would they understand what she had been through? She knew that returning would mean facing challenges, but she was determined to embrace her home once again. After several hours of travel, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. "We are entering Zyra's atmosphere. Prepare for landing." Lyra's heart raced. She pressed her forehead against the cool glass, peering through the window as the vibrant colors of Zyra appeared below. Green fields stretched endlessly, dotted with sparkling lakes and majestic mountains. It was beautiful and familiar, yet it felt different after everything she had experienced. As the shuttle landed smoothly, Lyra felt a rush of emotions. She was home, but she was also a changed person. The doors opened, and a wave of warm air greeted her. She took a deep breath, filled with the sense of her world, feeling the memories flood back. Commander Harris turned to Lyra, her expression serious but kind. "Remember, you can always reach out to us. If you need help, don't hesitate to call." "Thank you," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "I will." With that, she stepped out of the shuttle and into the sunlight. The ground felt solid beneath her feet, grounding her in reality. She scanned the area, looking for familiar faces, her heart racing in anticipation. "Lyra," a voice called out, and she turned to see Aerith rushing toward her. His green skin glowed in the sunlight, and his smile was wide. "Aerith," Lyra shouted, running to him. They embraced tightly, feeling the warmth of friendship wrap around them. "I can't believe you're back," Aerith exclaimed, pulling back to look at her. "We were so worried. What happened to you?" "It's a long story," Lyra replied, her heart swelling with happiness. "But I'm okay now. I found a friend who helped me." "Friend?" Aerith repeated, curiosity in his eyes. "Is it someone from the Federation?" "Yes, his name is Alex," Lyra explained, her cheeks flushing slightly. "He saved me from danger." Aerith raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips. "I see. Well, I'm glad you're safe, but we need to get you back to the village. Everyone is waiting." As they walked together, Lyra felt the weight of the past few days lift from her shoulders. She was home, surrounded by those who cared for her, but thoughts of Alex lingered in her mind, reminding her of their bond. The village came into view, bustling with activity. Familiar faces greeted her with joy, and she felt a rush of love and warmth as they welcomed her back. "Lyra," cried a group of her friends, rushing toward her. "We missed you so much." "I missed you all too," Lyra said, tears brimming in her eyes as she embraced her friends. As they led her through the village, she felt a deep sense of belonging. But amidst the joy, she knew she had to find a way to share her story, her adventure, the challenges she had faced, and the friend she had left behind. As the sun set over Zyra, casting a warm glow over the village, Lyra took a deep breath and smiled. She was back where she belonged, ready to embrace her life once again. And in her heart, she knew that her journey with Alex was far from over. They would always be connected, no matter the distance between them.